In the heart of New Orleans, where jazz isn't just music but a lifestyle, and powdered sugar coats more shirts than laundry detergent can handle, stands one of the most iconic buildings in the city, the St. Louis Cathedral. It towers proudly over Jackson Square like a Gothic wedding cake blessed by the Pope himself. While tourists line up for selfies and ghost tours hustle past its gates, few realize just how deep and delightfully eerie the roots of this place go. This isn't just a building, it's a survivor of fires, floods, hurricanes, explosions, and more ghost stories than a season of American Horror Story. And trust me, it has better plot twists. The first church on this site was built in 1727, back when New Orleans was little more than swampland and wishful thinking. Crafted out of wood and brick, because nothing says permanence like two of the most flammable building materials. They called it the St. Louis Church in honor of King Louis IX of France. It served its purpose well enough until 1788, when on Good Friday, someone decided to light candles during services. As it turns out, fire and flammable architecture don't mix. The entire church and most of the French Quarter went up in flames faster than a tourist with a sunburn. The fire destroyed 856 buildings. But because it was Good Friday, bells weren't rung to alert people. The church was lost, but the drama had just begun. Undeterred and quite possibly fueled by the ghosts of burned pews, the Spanish colonial government rebuilt, with the generous donation of Don Andrés Almonester y Roxas, who probably had more syllables in his name than there were bricks in the building. A brand new cathedral was constructed by 1794. This time it was made of plastered brick, more fire-resistant and significantly less flammable. It looked grand, with a heavy Spanish flair, and soon became the epicenter of New Orleans life. Weddings, funerals, duels, political meetings, you name it, it happened here. The people of New Orleans knew how to throw a party, and they knew how to host a proper haunting. Among those who walked its hallowed halls was none other than Marie Laveau, the legendary voodoo queen of New Orleans. She was baptized here in 1801 and later returned to get married at the altar. Imagine the irony. One of the most feared and revered women in the city getting hitched in the same building where a ghost would later be spotted walking down the aisle. It's said that even after her death, Marie still makes occasional spiritual appearances nearby. Though honestly, if I had that kind of reputation and a flair for the dramatic, I'd haunt Jackson Square too, especially on Halloween. By the time Andrew Jackson rolled through town in 1815 and won the Battle of New Orleans, the cathedral had firmly cemented itself as the spiritual and political heart of the city. Jackson even held a Thanksgiving Mass inside to celebrate the victory, because nothing says, "We beat the British," like singing Latin hymns and lighting candles. The city was on the rise, and so were the cathedral's ambitions. By the 1830s, the place was ready for a glow-up. So the city hired a French architect to restore the building, which in New Orleans speak means tear it down and build something fancier. The result was the majestic structure we see today. Triple spires, arched doorways, and just the right amount of Gothic sass. Construction wrapped up around 1850, though not without chaos. One of the original towers collapsed mid-construction, scaring the clergy and everyone within a 5-block radius. When the final spire was completed, some locals thought it looked divine, while others thought it resembled something you'd see in a vampire movie. Either way, it became the most photographed building in the state, and that was before Instagram gave it a second life. Of course, not everyone was in love with the new look. Local historians grumbled that it was too modern, too dramatic, too pointy. But the people of New Orleans have never been afraid of a little extra. Over time, the church was filled with elegant paintings, marble altars, and chandeliers that sparkle just enough to distract you from the fact that half the congregation might be ghosts. And in 1964, the Vatican made it official by naming it a minor basilica, a title that sounds humble but is actually a spiritual gold star. Over the years, the cathedral became known not just for its beauty, but for its resilience. It's like the Betty White of buildings, graceful, beloved, and somehow still standing after everything it's been through. In 1909, someone bombed the building. Don't worry, it was closed. And it still stood. In 1915, a hurricane came through and tried to rip off the roof. Spoiler alert, the cathedral won. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina left a gaping hole in the ceiling, but after some repairs and a few hundred rosaries, Mass was held again within months. Even presidents took notice. George W. Bush stood on its steps during post-Katrina speeches, probably wondering if the building was held together by prayer or stubbornness. With a history like that, it's no surprise the place is haunted. Legend has it, the cathedral was built over one of the city's earliest cemeteries, and in New Orleans, disturbing graves is just asking for drama. Beneath the cathedral floor lie the tombs of priests, parishioners, and possibly a few folks who just wouldn't leave. Some visitors say they feel cold spots, hear whispers, or catch a glimpse of someone in old robes slipping through the pews. It's enough to make even the bravest tourist clutch their beignet. The most famous ghost is Père Antoine, a kindly Capuchin friar who served the parish in the 18th century and loved his job so much, he never left. People have spotted him gliding down the aisle during Christmas Eve Mass, holding a candle or humming softly when no music is playing. His ghost has been seen so often, they named the alley beside the church after him. If you're walking near the cathedral and catch a whiff of incense mixed with ghostly vibes, it might just be Père Antoine checking in on his flock. But wait, there's more. Enter Père Dagobert, another ghostly priest whose haunting habits include singing Latin hymns and leading ghostly processions through Pirates Alley. He was a gentle soul in life, and apparently a pretty chill ghost in death. Early morning wanderers have reported hearing the faint chant of Kyrie Ellison echoing through the fog. And on stormy nights, some say you can see a ghostly funeral procession moving slowly down the alley. Talk about commitment to your job. This guy's still performing ceremonies 2 centuries later. Now, let's talk pirates. Because what's a haunted church without a little swashbuckling on the side? Pirates Alley, located just behind the cathedral, was once a hotspot for smugglers and shady deals. Jean Lafitte, the infamous privateer, is rumored to have used the alley for smuggling loot, possibly even fencing goods against the church's wrought iron fence. Naturally, people have claimed to see his ghost pacing the alley, muttering about lost treasure and bad investments. Either that, or it's just a French quarter actor trying to make rent. Some legends even say that another pirate ghost, Reginald Goldtooth Hicks, was married right by the cathedral gates before sailing off to war. He never made it home, and now he's stuck pacing the same patch of sidewalk for eternity, waiting for a honeymoon that never happened. Witnesses say they've seen a man in a long coat and tricorn hat watching couples from the shadows, which is either creepy or romantic depending on your perspective and blood alcohol level. Across the square, Muriel's restaurant holds its own paranormal tale. In the 1800s, a wealthy gambler named Pierre Jourdan lost his mansion in a poker game and promptly took his own life on the 2nd floor. Ever since, his ghost has been seen drifting through the upper rooms, especially the seance lounge, where guests leave him wine and bread just to keep him from flickering the lights or dropping cold spots in their gumbo. The staff sets a table for him every day because in New Orleans, you feed your ghosts before they get hangry. Even the garden behind the cathedral, St. Anthony's Garden, has been called a spiritual hotspot. It's peaceful by day, but as the fog rolls in, the mood shifts. Some say you can hear Père Dagobert chanting beneath the trees. Others have seen strange lights floating near the fountain. Whether it's ghostly or just someone trying to find their Uber, who knows? But you don't walk that garden alone after dark unless you're ready to make a new friend from another dimension. Despite all the paranormal activity, the St. Louis Cathedral remains a functioning church. Tourists explore it, couples get married, and the faithful attend Mass. sometimes all in the same hour. It's a place where the living and the dead coexist in spiritual harmony. Weddings are performed beneath paintings that have seen centuries pass. Funerals are held above tombs that haven't been opened in 200 years. And ghost tours stop just outside to tell the tales of both joy and lingering sorrow. So if you ever find yourself in Jackson Square, staring up at those towering spires and feeling like someone or something is watching you, you're probably right. Whether it's a ghostly friar, a heartbroken pirate, or just the spirit of New Orleans itself, St. Louis Cathedral has a story to tell. Come for the history, stay for the hauntings, and maybe bring a candle. The ghosts appreciate the ambiance.